I have a bunch of necks out here, and my hammer that we don't use to build guitars with, and a couple of blanks. These two blanks are very similar, but the difference of these, and I don't know if you can get that in the shot, the grain on these are a little different. This is what we call a flat sawn blank, and this is what we call a quarter sawn blank. Now, these neck blanks are about the same. They're about the same. I looked at them before we brought them in. They're about the same. This one's I'd say probably an 1/8 inch taller. But all that being said, we'll see how they sound, because there is some variables in wood too. Clearly has a note there. Let me hit this one. This has a little bit lower resonant frequency. So even that the necks are about the same size, they're one's quarter sawn and one's flat sawn, they still sound a little different. And you're going to get that from blank to blank to blank. But the thing that you need to remember on the cuts of the wood is that they're going to react differently when they're put on guitars. Because a stiffer piece of wood, which would be the quarter sawn piece of wood, a stiffer piece of wood is going to give you a higher sound. So if I was going to, now this is what I call the tone bouillabaisse. So if I was going to sit here and I have these two blanks, I have one that's a stiffer quarter sawn blank, and I have one that is a flat sound blank, and I have a lighter body and a little heavier body, then what I can do is I can sit there and say, okay, well, this one has a lower resonant frequency, so I'd put that on probably the alder body or probably on on the alder body, because it has a higher resonant frequency. So now I'm compensating for frequencies here. This is really getting like science project stuff. Sorry, but and then you have this really stiff quarter sawn blank, and this body that's got a lower resonant frequency, and I put this neck on here. Now, these two guitars are probably going to sound really, really good. I wouldn't do this. Just personally, I wouldn't do that, because I know that this guitar is going to ring differently because of that flat sawn blank, and this guitar's, you know, it's going to be real bright, and I don't really want to do that. So that's how I would build those two guitars. Now, the thing is once you start, that's not a neck. Once you start cutting it into this, now you really get into different necks. This has a lower resonant frequency than this one. This is a quarter sawn, has a bigger peg on it, more mass in here. It hasn't been shaped yet either, so it's a little different. This has a rosewood fingerboard on it, and it's a flat lamb. A round lamb will be a little bit brighter. So now here's a tele neck, big U shape on it. This is a bird's eye strat neck. There's a tele neck. More mass on this, so it's going to be a little bit more higher resonant frequency. So, now what? This is what the deal is that a lot of guitar players, a lot of guitar manufacturers, they don't do what we do. And I'm not sitting here waving the Fender flag on it, but the thought process in the guys in the custom shop and the way that we build stuff goes like that. So when we go to build a guitar for you, or if like for example, this was a good example of how I would do a limited edition. I would sit down and say, I want to do a nice, 50 Strat, with some hand wound pickups in it, and nice faded two-tone sunburst on it. It'd be a great guitar. But I would look at the neck, and I would sit back knowing how that works. When we do these limited editions and things, we kind of know what the formula is. So when we're filling out the spec sheet, it's like, yeah, a light body with that neck, or an alder body with a round lamb maple neck or round, something like that. That's our thought process. And like I said, a lot of guitar manufacturers don't do that. And in the custom shop, it's kind of an obsession for us. I think you can probably see that and understand that from this video. And hopefully, you guys can kind of think about things, because when people say, oh, the light guitars are better, it's not really true. The light guitars are different. They sound different. And it depends on what neck's on it. And all the stuff I just did and talked about, we haven't even talked about pickups yet. We haven't talked about hardware yet. We haven't talked about pick guard material. We haven't talked about any of that stuff. So the key takeaway from this video, I'm hoping that you guys get, is that nothing's better. Everything's different. And that's really what I think we've talked about a lot in the custom shop, because we've seen so many instruments come through, and artists rarely come in here and say, I want a light guitar. They really don't care too much about the weight of the guitar. I didn't even know how much my guitar weighed until I started working at Fender, just because it was such a topic, so, I mean, we have light wood, we have medium wood, we have heavy wood, whatever you want to do, you can order whatever you want. And it just takes longer to go through and pick out a real light piece of wood for somebody if they want it. That's why it costs more. Because if we have to dig through a pallet of lumber to find something that's a specific weight, then that's going to take time, and time is. And, that's kind of how it works down here. And so it's just, I think it's important for you to understand that, resonant frequency, everything resonates at a certain frequency. And once you, put two of these things together, now you have a whole different thing. And you just kind of need to find out what works for you. What do you like to hear? Lighter guitars, for some people, they don't like them because they're thuddy and they don't cut through the band too much. A good medium weight guitar will really, cut through the band more, has a little bit more sustain to it. Acoustically, it sounds a little different, and so I think that's really kind of what you need to look at. So hopefully we helped out here. And you can go to www.fendercustomshop.com. And you can see a bunch of other videos, and you can see interviews with builders, and they give you tips on how to set your guitar up. You can see all the stuff in our new custom collection. And it's just, it's a good place to hang out. We're hoping that you guys come down there and hang out and check us out. We also have a Twitter account, which is twitter.com Fender Custom, and then there's a Facebook account, which is facebook.com Fender Custom. And you can go on those and harass or ask questions, whatever you want to do. Hope you guys enjoyed it.